Okay, let's turn our fun background music down to what sounds like reasonable levels. That seems like it'll be fine. If it's not, y'all can let me know. If we're all ready, let me go back in here. Okay, hello, our special guest.
Me?
Yeah. All right. Book club. There's the button on my stream deck. Yay, we did it. Hello, everyone.
Oh, this is so cute.
Yeah, thanks. James made it. He makes all my overlays because he's great like that. He will be making one for our Hopeless one shots in December as well.
Oh, fun.
Hey, Heather. Welcome on in. Hello. And if you're watching this on YouTube later, welcome as well. Thanks for being here. A little bit later than we planned because real life happened and intervened, but we haven't broken the streak yet. We're keeping up with our monthly Twitch Book Club streams. And as per usual, the pattern is we're discussing our read last month because we give the book club Discord a whole month to read our chosen book, because I know everyone reads at different speeds. Some of us can read a book in like 2 days. Some of us take a whole month to read a book, which is fine. Read at your own pace. Read at what makes you happy. And I wanted to give as many people the option to join in for these streams and in the discussions and stuff as possible. So we end up discussing the book the next month. So it'd be November now. So we're talking about our October read, The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, which is a great title. I love long, funky titles like that. And it's always just nice to see, everything now is like a blank of blank and blank, bound by blank and blank. Like all the fantasy books with all the same bloody naming conventions nowadays. So this brings me joy. And today our guest, is this your first time being a guest for book clubs? Obviously you've been on my channel many times, but for other things.
Yeah, and this is also my first time existing on Twitch in 5 months, so.
Wow.
Babies, they do that shit.
They do that shit, yep. Being a parent, I've heard it's time consuming, some people say.
A little.
So I'm very excited you could be here. If you've been around my channel before, you've probably seen Briar before, either in our Called Another Deep campaign, doing some side quest group stream, or maybe if you've seen Dungeon Select. But now we're here to talk about book things, which makes me happy. So the usual, when I try and follow some semblance of a structure or pattern for these, it quickly devolves into just random banter. But we try to start with general impressions, overall star rating, keep them spoiler free, and then we narrow into specifics, either specific parts of the book, specific discussion questions, etc. And then we can get into spoiler territory. So anyone can watch the beginning of this video if they're thinking about reading the book. It wouldn't be spoiled for them, and they might still go pick it up. But then after that, you've been warned. Spoilers be here. So, to start with, what was your overall first impression of the book? And if you are someone who gives star ratings to the books you read, what rating did you give it, and why?
Yeah, so first impression, of course, it has witches in the title. And so I was like, hell yes. And also, something about the nature of the title being a long, funky title told me that it was modern times kind of deal, real world-ish kind of setting, and obviously, well, not obviously, but I was right, which was fun because I love the idea of fantasy things existing in real life because, I just have always wanted that for myself. So it's fun to read about it. But yeah, so you read way more than I do right now. And you read definitely, just by the fact that you read more than I do already means you read more romance than I do. But you also, I think, read a lot more romance than I probably would, just if I read regularly. Just, not that I have anything against it or anything like that, but I just don't think I would naturally gravitate toward it without, being steered toward it, Yeah. So I don't know, I didn't know the genre going in. I had no clue that there would be, any romance elements at all. So I was very excited when I realized where it was going. But I was also, though, a little bit sad because I was like, I don't want that to, I love this really interesting magic system. It's, you know, they don't go super into it. They kind of let it just breathe, which I
Yeah.
liked. But I was like, shoot, I don't want this to take away from that. I was scared that it would, and I don't think it really did all that much. So it did kind of like jerk me out of the immersion a little bit.
Okay, so the
Um,
romance was a detractor for you a little bit
yeah, just
from the
because,
main plot.
yeah, because it was like as soon as like the love interest was just mentioned, I was like, oh, I see where this is going, you know? So, and I don't like seeing where things are going when I'm reading a story, you know?
Yeah,
I want to be taken for a
fair,
ride.
fair.
So, but it was super cute. I don't give rate, I don't do anything
That's
with the
fine. If
books
you're
that I
not if you
read
don't rate
normally.
your books, that's fine. I'm
Yeah.
too chronically online in bookish spaces not to just assign ratings to things. So, but if
Yeah.
you
Well, because
don't, great, more power to you.
I was thinking about it like as I was reading it, because you know, I was listening to it on Spotify, so you
Okay,
know,
so
they
you
have the
read the
rating thing
audiobook.
there
Yeah.
available. So I was like, what would I give this? And at first I was like, probably 4 stars, just knock it down the one from,
Yeah.
you know, for the whole detracting thing. And then I'm like, what if that's like really high still though? Like,
No, I gave
because
it
I just
four
have no
stars.
basis of comparison right now.
Yeah, no, because
But
my general
solid 3 or
scale
4, I would say.
Yeah, my general scale is 1 star is for like DNF or this was barely readable and I had to like force
Right.
myself to finish it. 2 stars is read the whole thing, didn't like it. Like not awful, not an insult to the paper it's written on, not a crime against humanity like 1 stars, but just like I did not have a good time. This is not for me. 3 stars is I read it and I liked it. Like, you know, I'll probably never think about it again, but I had a good time. Like, you know, 4 stars is like for I loved it. This was great. Brings me joy, makes me super happy, things I love about it. And then 5 stars is like, this has changed me as a human. I'll never shut up about this. Like, this is one of the greatest things I've ever read.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
my subjective star rating scale.
I could see myself going off of that. I could definitely see it being like a 3.5 for me because
Yeah.
I enjoyed it very, very much. But I know that there's a lot more. I can't wait to read more with this group, and I've been listening to the November book and stuff, and
Oh,
so
okay. That's a very
yeah.
different, that's a whole other turn from this because that's a
Oh yeah,
nonfiction
yeah.
situation. So,
Which
yeah.
he's funny because he reads it himself, and when he quotes someone, he does like a voice, but
Oh,
it's
does
not the
he?
person's voice.
That's so funny. I'm reading the
It's
ebook
so,
for that one,
oh
not the
nice.
audiobook, so that's so funny. It is wild how I've gotten into audiobooks this year through the Libby app and getting them from my library, so I don't have to pay for them.
Oh yeah,
And it
yeah.
is wild how like the narrator is such a big experience and can make or break
Hmm.
your audiobook readings, and that's like not a thing when you read like a physical or an ebook because it's just
Yeah.
whatever your voice in your head sounds like, you know.
I loved the narrator for this book. I really liked her voice. She, you know, I mean, I think if you're reading an audiobook, you're probably easy to understand anyway, but like, she did a good job of doing like distinct voices for the characters, but they weren't like distracting either.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, it was pretty cool.
Nice. So yeah, the reason
She
I
just had a
gave this a
pleasant
four
voice
star
anyway.
was because it's described as it's like a found family and like cozy fantasy, like cozy witchy novel, which it absolutely was. But so many
Yeah,
books that say found family, it's really just like, oh, it's people forming like a tight circle of friends. I think people are playing a bit
right.
fast and loose with the term family, but given the backstory of the main character, the fact that it's like there's 3 children at the center of the narrative, and like a quite literal, an actual found family that they'll both become like a legal family sense of the word as well as
Yeah,
like habitation sense of the word. Like this finally felt like it is worthy of that trope name that so many people just
yeah,
kind of like throw at books now. And like you said, also the depiction of magic and the way magic is just portrayed in this book I thoroughly enjoyed as well. Made me it both felt very like simplistic and accessible, but not in a bad way, almost like in a way that
right.
just you could see it seamlessly fitting into a modern world and not making it
Yeah,
super like, it was weird to say it's like it's believable fantasy because fantasy's not supposed to be believable, but almost that's almost the vibe I would make it. Also just the
yeah,
general
definitely.
like witchy, the way like even like kitchen witchery and like hedge witchery and like other types of things are described in this book, the vibes are just immaculate. Even as you can see, I've tabbed mine a little bit, and there are one color of tab which is I literally described as witchy aesthetic I want in my life is the description of the tab that I put. And like this one, which is talking about the jars of her ingredients she uses for her like potions and stuff. Yeah. She's like, she unscrewed the lid of the jar labeled luck, shook a handful of small dried tea leaves into a teapot, and returned the jar to its place between sleepy and when your uterus is up to its usual tricks. And just like the idea of like almost like this bookshelf behind me, but like a cupboard like in my kitchen with just like jars of different teas, and that just say like what all the teas do. Because I'm also a tea fiend. I have a whole cupboard of teas, much to my husband's dismay, in our tiny kitchen. So things like that just made me, and it was like so many times too I find cozy books means like no stakes in the story, but this was a cozy story, but still felt like it had decent stakes as well, like for what was going to happen with the kids, with the house, with like the family that was being formed. And I've also put the cast of characters made me want to jump into the book just so I could spend an afternoon with them, even the kids, and I'm not a maternal person,
right?
So that tells you a lot.
I was like about the kids.
Maybe because you have one, so you're like
maybe, yeah. Like, well, it's so funny because when I told the oldest of my younger sisters, when I told her that I was pregnant, she was excited for me, but then she goes, wait, but you hate kids. And I was like, no, I hate other people's kids. Kids that are related to me are fine. But yeah, they were, and I think too, like, there's a certain age with kids where even if they're related to me, it's like, okay, yeah, you go get older, or, you know, don't talk to me anymore until you mature a little bit. Like,
yep.
Because they just get to be too high energy. Like, it's very much, they go from being like curious little kittens to being crazy all over you golden retriever puppies, and it's like, oh no,
that's the phase my actual puppy is in right now. The crazy all over you. I'm bored. Bored means bite mommy, because when I bite mommy, something happens, and I'm like, no, we need to unlearn this. We need to unlearn this behavior, please.
I cannot handle that energy from any living being. So I am cat energy through and through.
That's why those kids were more chaos than usual, says Heather. They definitely were. And yet for some reason, I don't know, because I'm just such a not kid person, it's very easy. There's so many both real life and in like media kids that just like piss me off without even trying. And I guess I don't know why I like these kids. Even the like bitchy middle one who just wants to talk about murder all the time. Maybe just because I talk about murder all the time, right? Like, yeah, right? I don't know. Anyways, I also think this book might have gotten a slightly elevated star rating for me as well, just because I was pairing it with the audiobook I was listening to at the same time. Was a very heavy, very emotional, and like super serious book. I was listening to the memoir of a very well-known assault survivor. So that like this was the perfect way to balance that and just like make sure I didn't get too bogged down in this like super very important, in my opinion, like quintessential reading. We should make all men read the novel, the memoir that I read, but very, very hard to listen to or read at times. So yeah, I gave it 4 stars. The one thing the other took away from it, other than being a 5, like I said, it's not like I'm gonna never shut up about this book and tell everyone to read it. It did feel like the ending was a little bit convenient. So now is where we officially will get into spoiler territory. So if you were thinking of reading this book, before we get into spoilers, if you like cozy fantasy, if you like found family, if you like modern witchcraft, if you like romance, but romance as the subplot, not as the main plot, then you will like this book. So go ahead and read it, pick it up. And there is a second book set in the world, like a sequel that's not about the same characters, but it's like in the same universe, like same magic system, same situation. It's called like A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping, I think is the sequel or something like that. But yes, you'll enjoy this book. You should pick it up. So leave now if you want to avoid spoilers. Spoiler, my other thing that took it away from being a 5-star for me, and I'd love to know what you thought, So the big problem for anyone listening is that, well, one of the problems, it's a witch is brought to this house to teach these 3 young witches how to control their magic, because it's hard for young witches to learn how to control, and they just have kind of like random things happening that they can't control. They can hurt themselves, hurt other people, not intentionally, because magic just be like that. The way the book talks about magic wants to be used, and it's there all the time. It just wants to be used, and when the kids are too young to consciously know how to use it, it'll just use itself and do destructive things. So this woman is brought to this house with this eclectic cast of characters and found family to teach these 3 adopted children how to use their magic. But then the other subplot is they need to learn by a certain date or the kids are going to be taken away. And it's a bit complicated as to why. But it involves the legal guardian of these kids is like a world-traveling archaeologist, and she's never around. And now people are starting to get suspicious that something's happened to her. So, like, where the hell is this woman? She's just, like, never home. No one can get a hold of her. So the solicitor lawyer, like, comes to the house, sees, and won't explain why, but sees an animated skeleton of a person he knows dancing in front of him, and is like, oh my god, panicking. And they basically, the way they solved that just felt very kind of easy, convenient. And I'm like, you're really telling me he that easily is gonna just walk away and accept this with like what was done, the explanation that was given?
They did that.
Well, it turns out they find out she had a I don't know if it's a sister or a twin. I can't remember. It's been a while now.
Yeah, twin sister. Yeah,
twin sister. And so they bring the twin sister in to be like, oh, so this is the real person you were looking for. And that other thing you saw, they just like found some dumb way to explain it away.
And he never got the tea, right? That was supposed to like make him more suggestible.
No. And
that's right,
and it was either I'm forgetting some of the details now, but all I remember thinking at the time was like, really? Man saw a corpse dancing in front of him, and then he was kidnapped and locked in a shed for a while, and he's chill now? Like, it felt a bit too easy, but again, it's meant to be cozy novel. It always had to end nicely and everything wrapped up in a little bow, because that's how this book is supposed to end and make you feel. But I still felt like there maybe could have been something else done there, or a little more nuance given to it somehow. I don't know.
I think my favorite scene that like played through in my head, you know, you just kind of picture stuff, I don't know, like the way it might happen in a movie or whatever the case may be. I loved the scene where she dug up the sunflowers. I was just picturing that in my head. I had like the dramatic soundtrack, you know, going in my head and everything. And
and it was written really well too, because it was written where he's like, we need to tell you like the truth. And then of course the dramatic cut, and she's storming away like, what do you mean? Tell us the truth. But then it's like very quickly but the dramatic like storm away to the sunflowers, digs them up, and just like bodes. Yeah, it was written it almost became like thriller murder mystery vibes very briefly for like a minute, and I was like, oh, tone shift, but I don't hate it.
And then like her being the archaeologist twin, I would have never, I don't know if I would have ever seen it coming. Like, I don't know.
It's funny, in like another genre, I would have, because like, oh, the twin is such a convenient Deus Ex Machina, but that's in like, if we were reading a thriller or a mystery or even like a literary fiction, but in like cozy fantasy, it's not like a common trope. It's not something I'd expect in that genre. So when they pulled it out of the hat, I was like, oh damn.
Yeah.
Well, shit.
Like, oh, that's cool. That's like, and like I had a feeling that she was a sister, but I didn't. Nothing ever think hinted at her being a twin, at all. It just was, this is her sister who's out here somewhere, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. The sister's name starts with P, and the main girl's name is a flower. I wonder if, the sister is Primrose, and then I was right, but then also she was a twin. I was like, oh shit.
Man, I'm looking at my phone. I thought I had a note saved, but I don't. So now I'm going to have to try to find one of these tabs. Because there was something else that I remember thinking, and I swore I wrote it in my phone, but maybe I forgot. But there's, like, the main character talks about the way she has to kind of, like, mask her magic in everyday life. or something like that. And all I remember is the quote made me think of the parallels of like a neurodivergent person having to keep like that is good at masking and doing and like
Oh
things to
yeah,
fit in. But now I need to. Oh man, I don't know if I tabbed it. I think I wrote a note because it was more of like an idea. The book brought up in my phone, and then I
well, it
must have
felt
deleted
like
that note on my
super
phone. God damn.
familiar. I mean, thankfully, I had a pretty stable family life, but her feeling of like, oh, as soon as they found out I was different, they left, um, is very much on the neurodivergent bingo card. Um, because I
Oh,
know
Heather, you're a
in my experience,
genius.
like my, huh?
Sorry, that someone in the chat brought a point. She's like, well, if you think about it, if you suspected at any point that Primrose was the sister, Jillian, they had to be twins because the way witches are
Right.
born. Because the whole point of this book is the
Yeah.
curse all witches have is they become orphans. Like if you're a witch and you have a
Yeah.
kid, you're signing yourself to death. So they would have had to be twins because she would have died too
But did
fast,
they
most
ever
likely to get pregnant
say,
again.
did they ever say that the sister was a witch? I don't remember
Well,
before we
because the
found out it was
sister
Primrose.
was Primrose. I don't know if they said she had a sister or the sister was a witch. I think we
Because
found
if
out at
she
the
just
same
had a sister,
time.
it could have been an older sister that wasn't a witch, and then,
I think it's if witches have any
but
children, though, not just if they have a like a child with magic. Like if a witch has any child, period, or is it only if they have a child who
I
is
think it's
also a
only if they
witch?
have a witch, because the witches are the orphans. It's not the
Uh,
parents of witches that you.
True.
Like, I mean, the parents of witches die because witches are orphans, but not.
Right. No, but regular
Yeah.
people, though. You're right. I got you.
Right.
Got
Right.
you. Okay.
But yeah, so like the neurodivergent experience of,
Yeah.
like
Either way, there was some
having to
comment that
mask,
was
and
made.
then
Yeah.
as soon as someone figures out, oh, you're a little bit weird, aren't you? And then they
Yeah.
leave, or in my biggest social experience, I would say probably of being a neurodivergent person is I tend to be the kind of person who is way more invested in friendships than like the other person is,
Yeah.
which sucks. But
Yeah.
yeah, like, so a lot of her talking about masking definitely felt very familiar.
Yeah. Yeah. She
I
never
have
used
to
that
say,
word, but just the way she talked
right.
about having to, like, having a part of herself that she couldn't share with
Yep.
anyone, and
Yeah.
a part of herself that was such a big part of herself and like a defining part of her whole personality even and her whole life history, but she can't
Yeah.
share it with anyone. Not just like I have a secret, but like I can't even, yeah, you can't talk about this thing that is but not just a hobby or interest, but who you are as a person.
It's literally like in her DNA. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it reminded me of a not that I would have that experience, but like people I know who are neurodivergent talking about having to, because not just like masking the ways your neurodivergence manifests to just like to fit in or pass in certain situations, but also I'm sure a lot of times, unless you're in a safe space or with other neurodivergent people, it can be really hard to want to even like acknowledge or talk about that part of
Yeah.
you as a person, because you're worried about how it's gonna like other you or make these people feel like they can't relate to you or something. But yeah, that I wish I tabbed the part and not just written a note in my phone that I deleted, but oh
Aw.
well.
So, since you read a lot more romance than I do, I'm interested in what you thought about Jamie. As,
I
like,
liked it
the
because they
way
were
that
just the
he
classic grumpy
handled her, I
sunshine
guess.
trope, and I'm a sucker for a good grumpy sunshine romance. We get one who is cranky stickler and one who is just optimism incarnate, you know. So I enjoyed it, and I like because they did enough moments of like where the grumpy slips, where his mask, so to speak, slips, and they have enough like spaced in that let you see through. And I thought the pacing of their relationship building was pretty good, and they also built in enough time for it to feel like we'd earned it, because they talked about how long she was living there, and like the book version of like a montage in a movie, right? Or like when, for me, the real point where I was like, okay, I'm sold. Like at the beginning, I was like, I see this coming. Because I've read enough of it. And like you said, the writing's on the wall. I see where you're going with these two. But where I was like, okay, but now I'm bought into it. When he started coming up to her attic room in the evenings, and when she would like to make potions and he'd just like be there hanging out, and they'd like
So
have a drink
cute.
together or something, and it the first time it happened, it felt very natural, because I can't remember what his reason, but there was a reason for him to come up there and check on her, and he also then like brought a drink over, and then that it became a habit. And because that, to me, it might be also unbiased, that is how in a lot of the best relationships I've ever had, and including the one with the person I am now married to, so clearly it was the best one. Part of what made me realize, like, this is, like, I have serious feelings for this person, is when some little thing you do with that person becomes so ingrained in your routine and you don't even really realize. And then, like, the minute that's gone or disrupted, you realize how important it is to you. And you're like, oh my God, we didn't have, like, our tea today. We didn't watch this movie today. We didn't have our, like, 10-minute chat today. And seeing how, like, off it throws you. And there was a moment kind of like that from what I remember in the book, or like that vibe. So I liked I liked their relationship. And of course we were going to have like the classic, I knew I was waiting for like the miscommunication trope, or the thing where at some point, right, you're both going to be doing something you think is what the other wants or needs, but you're not going to talk to each other about it first. And if we all just used our adult voices, this would all be fine. But exactly. The way it happened in this book, I found it was a much less annoying way, because it wasn't really his choice. It was like the thing that he was keeping from her, and that was something book. And then when he had to tell her like about Lillian, blah blah blah, was because it was also the decision of all the other members of the household. Like, it wasn't just his choice. And then how he reacted to that afterward, yes, was a bit of the whole classic, I think I'm being a martyr and doing what's best for the other person. But he then realized on his own, he's like, wait a minute, in making this choice, I'm now treated her the way everyone else has treated her. I'm a moron. Yeah. And like, he realized himself he was being a numpty, and then he fixed it. And so it made me happy.
Yeah. I like that. I think, and I wrote like a little thread about this, and I was like, maybe I'm just jaded, but I feel like his reactions to the way she was treated in the past were just so strong, and I'm like, that's a lot of feeling for someone you've known a few weeks. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just a skeptic, but there's a little much.
There's some people that are just, you know, more empathic, or also if they've only had, you know, a charmed life, and then hearing these things happen to someone else. But I guess it's the opposite, because he'd been through. But that's the thing. I think it was the opposite, because he'd been through his own shit. It's like, again, like, he's experienced significant pain. He's experienced a bad family dynamic. He's experienced that yearning. Just like, they both, for different reasons, but both of them were yearning for a family that accepted them, where they could be themselves and where they felt seen. And they both lacked that for different reasons, in very different ways. And that was
very relatable to me.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Mika's whole backstory, because so many times, especially in a lot of the, like, you know, fantasy, romantasy books, like obviously, and even we joke about it because we play D&D, you can't make a D&D character without trauma. Why is your D&D character adventuring if trauma's not involved, you know? But so often, it's like that trauma is just always a lot. It's like trauma with a capital T. Like, there is so much shit we put our characters through. Hers, like, this kind of more, almost like, in one way, fairly minimal neglect, but that almost made it so much more profound, because it wasn't, you know, these like horrifically violent or super emotionally charged or like abusive acts. It was just the lack of not being a priority, the lack of attention, and just the lack of like, you are protected, you are cared for, you are looked after, you are fed, you have everything you need, but no one's there to give you that, like, affection. No one's there to give
backdrop of loneliness.
Yeah. And I found that very refreshing in terms of the ways we're going to give our characters, you know, trauma or some sort of chip on their shoulder or something that makes them flawed. It was just very different compared to a lot of the things I've been reading lately, and almost more impactful.
Yeah. Because it was subtle, and it was like, it was, I feel, very, not necessarily universal, but definitely very relatable.
Yeah.
To probably a pretty wide range of people. Because at some point in probably everyone's life, like, someone somewhere didn't give you the amount of love that you wanted from them. Like, it happens to everyone. It's a, you know, in some cases it's rejection, in others it's, you know, an aloof parent or whatever. But yeah, I feel like it made her very relatable. It made her very kind of realistic
Yeah.
to me. So I feel like I could be best friends with Mika.
Right? Oh, she was like I said, so many of the characters in the book were just like, I want to hang out with you vibes. Which is one of the higher compliments that I think I can give a book. Hold on, I'm gonna have to scroll
Yeah, it
way
speaks
far
to how
back.
real the characters feel.
I want to find because there's another website / app like Goodreads but better and not owned by Amazon and made by women called Pagebound, and you can post like updates like when you put your like reading progress, and I put a few like, oh, so the part with the skeleton reveal, apparently I wrote, well, damn, I wasn't expecting a literal skeleton in the closet, or in this case the backyard. And it got a bunch of upvotes, which was cute. But I wonder if I wrote my note about the masking there.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't look like I did. Other than that, the only note was thoughts from page 51. I want this woman's tea collection, and I wish my life had this aesthetic. also, capital letters, I'm sorry, ma'am, you have what in your bedroom? Maybe that part of the aesthetic I can do without. Where she talks about the entire koi pond in her bedroom, because she does some
Yeah.
Mary Poppins TARDIS shit with magic.
That was so much fun. I love that her car is named Broomstick.
That was so,
so
cute. Oh my god, I saw that. I was like, I'm dead. Adorable. Amazing. Yeah, that was also part of, again, the overall witchy aesthetic vibes that I want. Where's the other tab I put for that? Other than the tea things. Oh, this part too. Oh my god, I loved it so much. So first thing she does in the new place when she moves into the new house to be the live-in like tutor to these kids, she does like an enchantment around her space, because apparently all witches sleep with windows and doors open because they want that like connection to nature, and even when it's freezing outside they don't get cold. They need a window open and stuff. But she does like a spell. She does a spell around the borders of all her room so no bugs come in. It keeps like bugs and spiders out. So she's doing it, and the kids ask like, what does it do? Rosetta asks, what's the spell for? To keep spiders and bugs out of the room. The girls burst out laughing. We're witches, Altamira cried, practically rolling on the floor in her mirth. We're supposed to embrace nature. I embrace nature, says Mika, shuddering, outside. But I draw the line at creepy crawlies in my bedroom. And I'm like, girl.
Yep, valid.
Facts, yes. That's what I said all the time. It's like, what's like, you hate bugs, and like spiders eat bugs. You should let spiders live in your house. Because I'm like, I can keep bugs out of my own house. I don't need their help. They can go outside. I don't need them.
And if I remember correctly, the spell involved lavender, which there's some truth in that. Strong smelling herbs like that can, like the mint family and lavender, like can help deter spiders because they don't like the smell.
I would use like lavender oil and some other things around my house, but lavender's bad for cats. So I used to use lavender oil in the diffuser like for sleep and stuff, but now and then Bailey sleeps in our room, so I don't want to overload her with that. It would be too sad.
I sprayed down like the baby's room with lavender and eucalyptus oil the first few nights that he slept in there because I was so nervous. And now he sleeps in our room anyway, so but
cute. I didn't do a ton of tabs in this book. I didn't go crazy, so I'm just gonna go through because the other than the parts where I said just like witchy aesthetic I aspire to, the rest are just my favorite quotes or some of my favorite lines from the book.
Oh, nice.
And we all talked about, so you, me, and like Heather in the chat all thoroughly enjoy the murderous child who, it's mostly just being protective and being afraid for their little found family dynamic being in jeopardy.
It was terracotta, right?
Yeah, it was terracotta, yeah. But then she says like over my dead body at some point, and they're like, oh really, what are you gonna do about that? How are you gonna make that happen, your dead body? She goes, okay, we'll make it her dead body then, pointing to Mika. Actually I prefer that option. I can murder her in her sleep on her very first night. And then Jamie says, oh, my tab is really dark, hold on, lift it up. There we go. Jamie says, we've talked about this, said Jamie mildly. Murder can't be your first choice every time you don't like something. And just that quote made me laugh so hard.
Someone needs to say that to me every now and then.
I know, right? Just, it makes me and all the true crime things I watch, like, murder can't be the first thing.
Terracotta and Jamie were so cute. The
right?
dynamic was just
awesome. Oh, my heart. Also, I love how everyone immediately, even though they hate her, but we love the dog, because everyone here in this book has sense, and dogs are great, and Cersei, the dog, was impeccable. And she's talking about after a paragraph where the kids and the dog are just being great. She just goes, really, people didn't deserve dogs. And I'm like, facts, we don't. What did humans do to deserve dogs? They are too precious for us. We're not good enough. And then this one I just have because I had literally just finished thinking this to myself, like my immediate reaction to this. And then the child voiced my own reaction in my head for me. And it made me laugh. It was when she's like pulling everything out of Broomstick. And again, it's like TARDIS Mary Poppins vibes where she's pulling like the whole koi pond, a literal greenhouse, all her belongings like out of this vehicle to move in. And in my head, I literally just went, so it was like Mary Poppins' bag in my head to myself. And then I read the next line, which was her eyes very round, 7-year-old Altamira. Oh, the tab is so dark. Oh, she said with perfect gravity, that was some excellent Mary Poppins shit right there. And just after I finished saying it to myself, I like burst out laughing. I thought that was hilarious.
Oh, I wish I could remember them. That's the only thing about the audiobook experience that I'm not a fan of, is I can't like mark places like that. But there were so many moments in the book that genuinely made me giggle or like chuckle or even laugh, and I was like, this is great. Like, it was such a fun ride for sure.
And then this is one of the more like serious, wholesome moments of the book, but also I'd say this passage kind of to me sums up one of the recurring themes of the book. Is a Mika and Jamie conversation. And she says, I don't pretend to know much about people, she offered, fixing her eyes on the road ahead. But one thing I've noticed over the years is that some people are nice and some people are kind. Lillian sounds like she's more nice than she is kind. Does that make sense? Niceness is good manners and stopping to give someone directions and smiling at the overworked cashier at the supermarket. Those are all good things, but they have nothing to do with what's underneath. Niceness is about what we do when other people are looking. Kindness, on the other hand, runs deeper. Kindness is what happens when no one's looking. Yes. And I loved that differentiation.
Yeah, the social media circles that I find myself in, I see lots of posts making that exact distinction.
It's kind of like the whole like wisdom versus intelligence almost in D&D, two words that on paper and to a lot of people could mean the same thing, niceness and kindness, but in practice, the different vibe. And I thought that was a really good way to explain it, and just also like food for thought. It's like and it's like thing to question yourself: are you nice or are you kind? Or ideally, are you both? You know.
Right.
Think about that next time. Think about doing a good deed.
Yeah, exactly.
And then back to just lines that made me hee hee ha ha funny, not so serious. It's part where I think it's after she woke up from her injury when she took all that like magic pain to like protect Terracotta when Terracotta was a dumb shit and like I can fly. And she wakes up.
I knew that was coming too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The first time they were levitating.
But I was positive it was going to be a kid was going to hurt themselves, and the kid like Terracotta was going to. So I know to some people it probably was still just as predictable, but to me I thought it was a slight subversion of my expectation when it was she let herself get hurt, even though it was the kid's fault and the kid was going to get hurt to prove a point. Yeah. And it had the same also, and it's like good idea because that's probably more effective than if the girl had just gotten hurt. She would have found some other way to blame her. It's like, well, you should have stopped it. You should have like caught me in my fault. You're the grown up. Blah blah blah. It's like I did stop it, but at serious cost to myself because that was the only option. So it's when she's waking up from that.
Yeah, and it teaches her that lesson of like, this is why I freaking told you.
Because also it's like you can't just think about yourself. Yeah, your actions affect other people. But yeah, she's waking up and basically imagine like the world's worst hangover on steroids, right? Because she's been in a coma and her body's still recovering from basically like a magical, like almost explosion or something. She's talking about, she's like the sun, remove the sun from the sky at once because like the light hurts her eyes. And so Jamie shuts the curtains, but she's like, it didn't do. There was still far too much light streaming in. She was a reasonable person. She understood she had to perhaps make the best of it. Before she could resign herself to a lifetime of martyred agony, something warm pressed against her side and a calloused hand settled over her tightly closed eyes, cutting almost all the light out. Just until you adjust. Jamie's voice said from close by, oh my God, don't stop. I will stop if you keep making sex noises. She goes, only reason you think these are sex noises is because you haven't yet had sex with me. And
Yeah.
and then she realizes what she said. And she's like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god!" But in my head, I'm just like, "Fuck yeah, you did. Fuck yeah, yeah, exactly. Fuck yeah, you did." Because she could have, it could have been funny quip if she's like, "You only think that's my sex noise because you haven't had sex with me," and it's like, haha, funny. But the yet changes the whole meaning, and it was just so good. And oh, one of those just like laughing, but also like kicking my heels in my metaphorical chair because I was like, "It's gonna happen. It's coming."
The line about remove the sun from the sky though makes me think of
Also
that
a good
post
one.
where the guy's like, "Oh, I think that my cat sees me turn on and off the light and thinks that I control the sun or whatever." And like they have a specific meow for like, "Come fix this." So they'll come up and, they'll come up to me, lead me to the window and meow at the rain and ask me to turn it off. And I say, "Silly cat, I can't control the rain." And then I go into the shower and turn on the rain.
Oh my god, that's adorable.
So funny. You're right.
The next one, she's having a conversation with Primrose, her guardian slash mentor, who was emotionally neglectful with her. And then when we find out also the backstory about like Mika's worst ex in college, and the one that Primrose the whole time was like, I told you he was bad news, blah blah blah. And so Primrose gives her a compliment. Like, is that a compliment? You need an actor I've never given you one before. And they continue to talk. And she's like, I wish that man still didn't have so much power over you, but it is what it is. You know my views, said Primrose. As a child, I instructed your nannies and tutors very specifically not to tell you what to drink, what to eat, and what to wear, because I believe what you put in your body is your business. And that, she added, raising her teacup to her lips, includes penises. Mika almost dropped her own teacup, and then she goes, you're 31, do try to act like it. And if you would care for my opinion, perhaps choose a worthier penis next time. The combination of like, it's funny, but also like the fucking just like preach, scream it from the rooftops right now, everything going on in a certain country in the world. What anyone, but particularly a woman, puts in her body is her business. That includes her medication, that includes food, drink, that includes sex organs. Like what goes in and out of our body is our business and only our business. Yeah. So it's like funny haha quote, but also like damn straight.
Very
fucking
topical
serious.
And timely. Yeah. When was this? This is a new book, obviously. When?
I think 2022 or something. Hold on, I can tell you because I'll look in the page. Yeah, 2022.
Okay, for sure.
God,
poor Mika during the COVID lockdowns, huh?
Fucking hell, right? And yeah, and then also when they were talking about the original mistake / curse that led to the reason all witches become orphans. She's like, it's what I always said. A spell went wrong for which we can thank the prejudices of an uncaring, patriarchal society that went out of its way to punish anybody it deemed too willful, too powerful, or too different. And she replies, not unlike the society we live in today. I was like, God damn, so real it hurts. Make it stop.
Right.
Like,
well, witches are, I feel like witches are always going to be one of those topics. It's kind of like how, I've heard you talk about vampirism and how it's a metaphor for female sexuality and stuff. I feel like witches are always going to be that metaphor for female empowerment. And they're always, any story that revolves around witches, if it doesn't have those themes, like, is it about witches?
Is it really about witchcraft? Yeah, if it's about people that are deemed to be too powerful or too different or too much of a threat to whatever your normal is and your established power structure, which is typically the patriarchy, but it could be other things, We have found the witch, may we burn
Which is
her.
an interesting thing in anthropology, witches. So in anthropology, like it's interesting because it's a science, right? It's like a social science and everything, but they don't discount magic. In fact, like one of the things about anthropology is that yes, magic is real because the people who believe in it and it has an effect on their lives, it has an effect on their culture, it's ingrained in it and stuff like that. So there's actually like a definition of witches, and it is not at all like the people who call themselves witches today. Like witches are always, like, anthropologically speaking, I'm pretty sure, I can't remember off the top of my head, but they're always bad. They always can do magic, but it's not magic they're doing on purpose. Like,
interesting.
yeah, it's not in their control, and it's negative, and I can't remember what else, but it's like that typical kind of trope of what
Yeah.
evil witches are in media still. But like she's like, yeah, no, my professor I was thinking of, she was talking about how no, like the people who call themselves witches today, like they're probably closer to something like priests or shaman, where like they don't, have anything going. It's nothing that's trailing after them. It's something that they practice, kind of
Yeah.
thing, or whatever. I always thought that was really interesting, but
Mm-hmm.
because even then, I'm pretty sure if the anthropological definition of it even fucks up like the Salem definition of it, because it's like, no, they weren't at all. You just were scapegoating,
Yeah.
bullshit on
Yeah, exactly. And
humans, man.
the very last section that I put a tab in, that was like a favorite passage or quote of mine. When she's talking about the solicitor, whose name is Edward, who wants to break up their family.
This guy.
Danger rarely wore a monstrous face and wielded a pitchfork. Danger came most often in the form of people like Edward, the nice people whose niceness only went so deep, who saved their niceness for people exactly like them, who believed they were more deserving of power and respect than anyone who was a little bit different. And she would never know how many other nice, ordinary people out there were as ugly as Edward underneath. That idea that of the whole, it's like, they're nice people, and they consider themselves nice people, but their niceness only extends to people like them or not too different from them. That's basically, I immediately thought of like the white Christian MAGA archetype that is prevalent right now, because again, like they probably all think, like I'm a good Christian, I'm a good person. And to other fellow like white MAGA Christians, yes, you are. I'm sure you're nothing but kind and lovely and like seem like maybe a wonderful person, but it's how you treat those who you perceive as different from you or lesser than you or anything else. Like, again, niceness versus kindness, right? Going back to that theme. And again, it's never often the ones who are the super obvious outright threats are actually not the biggest threats. It's the threats you can't see, the threats that are
the ones you can't see,
hiding it.
and sometimes they don't even, the most dangerous thing is that they don't even see themselves for the threat that they are.
Exactly.
Because they're just so wrapped up in their little bubble.
I just realized this book, I totally forgot, it has like, look, reader's guide questions for discussion in the back. I was totally gonna use those, but now it's already been almost an hour. Haven't done that. Whoops. Let me see if there's any that in particular. Yeah, I'm gonna look. We touched on already, but Mika and Jamie have very different personalities but find themselves drawn to each other. Why do you think that is? What parts of their personalities would complicate or complement each other? Like I already mentioned, to me it's that they both have different ways that their families or familial roles in their life abused or neglected them, but they both had the same end result, which is I just want to be somewhere where I'm seen and I am valued. Like I want to find a family who is happier for me being here and like cherishes me, kind of thing. And so that's how they complement each other, because they both understand that yearning in one another.
And their family's failures kind of mesh with each other, kind of match each other. Like all her life, yes, technically, obviously, Mika was being very much protected by Primrose, but she didn't have anyone around that she felt like was protecting her. In fact, she had the opposite, where she felt like she was being used by people.
Yeah.
And then here's Jamie, who gets so incensed at these stories of how people used her and stuff. And so he, even though he is currently using her toward, most of the book, or during most of the book, but he doesn't want to be. It's not like, it's kind of an out of his hands sort of
and to be fair, he was the one who didn't want her there. So he was the only one who didn't vote to like use her in that way in the beginning, right? So I guess that's also how how their relationship can work, because at the end of the day, he was the minority in that decision. He didn't actually choose. He was complicit in that, he knew of it and knew these things and was withholding information from her, but he wasn't an active participant. He was like a passive participant in that, I guess. And then of course also the way they're different, like like I said, the grumpy sunshine. Sometimes you need that little, you need the you need some different. If you are too much of the same person, then I think you need to be the right balance of opposites attract, but also having enough commonalities, and that's where the best relationships lie, in my opinion. Because if you're too much the same, you get bored, and if you're too the opposite, eventually you're going to run into some problems down the road, because you need to have places of common ground you can come back to and relate to, and like pillars and core beliefs probably should be the same and overlapping.
Right. Well, they're kind of puzzle pieces because, like, so she's got the, she needs and wants someone to feel like, is there for her, a constant, not, a revolving door of caretakers, but like one constant person. And then he's wanting someone to just like, she wants an anchor and he wants like a soft, warm landing pad.
Yeah.
Like to crash on at the end of the day. And like, and
he wants the cozy because he never had any cozy.
Yeah. And she's cozy like that, so they serve each other very well.
Exactly.
Which I like, because a lot of the time, I mean, again, I haven't read romance books, but I've seen plenty of romances. Like, I'm watching Blind Spot right now, and I know who the core romance is just because I know how structures of shows work at this point. But I just don't like it. Like, it's built on so many false premises that they discover to be false premises.
Yeah.
And like they still are like attracted to each other and like willing to go for it, I guess, at some point, because I'm sure they get together at the end, but it's just like there's so many elements of the romance that I'm just like, this is so toxic and just not even appealing.
Yeah.
But
I'm trying to think, like, if I turn around and look, then the mic can't hear me. So, but like, I almost tempted to like turn around and try and do a quick skim of my shelf, because the majority of my books that I own are in this room, and just see if there is one of these books that's a romance that is, in my opinion, like perfect quintessential romance that even a not big romance reader could like sink their teeth into. But I don't know. I'd have to look around, because nothing jumps to mind off the top of my head.
Well,
for me, I like a lot of the romance I read. It's like when I need that kind of light, fluffy, almost surface level reading, because I'm coming out of something either very heavy or like a very cerebral or very complex or very dark, and I'm like, I now want the different thing before I go back to that. Like, I tend to be not less critical with romance books, but almost like I need different things from them to give for them to like give me the experience I'm looking for. But I definitely
they're your comfort genre.
Yeah, they kind of pass a little hard. But I also, when they're done poorly, then I'll get real mad, because I'm like, come on, you had one job. I don't know. I can't think of the last one that the last like romantic relationship I've been the most invested in. Actually, it's probably in the Mistborn series, which is many books. But then again, that's not a romance series. That's a fantasy series where romances happen on the side and they're not the focus. But when they do, they're so good. But specifically Mistborn's second era has a romance that they start out as friends and like with a mutual respect for each other, and they don't ever tend to, and it seems like they have very much a vested interest in not falling for each other, and they so slowly over like 3 books it happens that by the end of the 3rd book, and they also, even the characters have a wait, fuck, are we in love now? Like, kind of moment. Like, even they don't, and it happened so naturally, and it felt so good. Because also so many authors out say, like, slow burn romance, and it's still, like, half the book. All right, they're already banging. I'm like, that's not slow burn. I will wait for it. I will work for it. Make it slow, baby. Because then, when it happens, it's so good.
You're like, I came here in a frog costume, and you put me in hot water.
Yeah. You gotta turn that water up like a degree at a time, baby. That's what you gotta do. But I don't know. I think that's, a lot of my favorite romances, ironically, are not the ones in strictly romance novels. They happen in the side of my fantasy novels. Other than there was one recently, which tells you where, I think this immediately tells you what age I'm at in life and like what phase I'm at in life. The most romantic thing a male love interest has done in any of the books I've read this year, because I've read almost every Emily Henry book that exists this year. She's one of the most popular romance writers out there. She's my comfort author right now, and my favorite of her male leads, It's also a friends to lovers situation. They've been friends for many, many years. And then when they are finally going to bang and they're finally going to get together, they have the whole like, oh, do you have a condom? Like, did we bring anything? Like, what are we doing about birth control situation? And the guy mentions he's had a vasectomy. And she's like, why did you get a vasectomy? Like, you're like chronic bachelor. Like, when did you get a vasectomy? Why didn't I know this? And he basically says it's because he mentions earlier in the book, and they talk about one of their bonding experiences. She had a pregnancy scare years before, like present day in the book. He was there with her. They were on a trip together. She realized her period was late. Took a pregnancy test. Had a pregnancy scare, and she was like had a full blown panic attack about the idea of being pregnant because she was not at a place in her life where she could have handled that. And he helped her through that. And he saw, like, what even just, like, thinking about that decision would be for her. He saw her working out how her whole life would change, what she'd have to do about it, with or without, if the father wanted to be involved, like, blah, blah, blah. And basically, in a much more romantic way than I could put it, tells her, I saw what that did to you, and I realized I didn't want to ever, even by accident, be the cause of that for any woman. And I figured this is so much easier, like, get a vasectomy, and I can, like, I'll reverse it down the line if I want kids, because that's the thing I can do. But it, basically, like, a gesture for any woman I might ever sleep with, just to make her feel safer, I got a vasectomy. And that is the hottest thing I've read of any man in a book for, like, a decade. And I was just like, oh. And, yeah, he quickly became my favorite Emily Henry love interest character. And I was like, this tells you a lot about that where I'm at in my life right now.
Right.
Yep.
Added her to my follow list.
Yeah, if you want to give romance as a genre a try, she is seen as one of the most successful, like, quintessential authors right now. I've read, I think, like 5 of her books this year, all audiobooks. I've read 2 of them. I read 2 physical and then like 3 or 4 audiobooks. My favorite ones, so that one where that story was from People We Meet on Vacation, which is one of her more popular ones, and it's being turned into a Netflix movie right now. But the other one I love the most is probably Funny Story, I think is my favorite one of hers. After that, I like Book Lovers the best. So it's probably People We Meet on Vacation, Funny Story, Book Lovers, Great Big Beautiful Life, Happy Place, and then I think I've read one more, but I don't know. My ranking of Emily Henry novels.
Nice.
Well, it has
bonus content for you.
Yeah. It has been an hour before we wrap up. Is there any closing thoughts about this book? Oh, also, usually I ask at the end, but I think we both already know the answer to this. If it's a book that has a sequel, I always ask the guest, are you going to read the sequel, or would you like to read the sequel?
Heck yeah.
I think I knew
really,
the answer.
Like I said, I love the way magic works in this book, so I am fully invested, just for that.
Yeah, hold on. I'm going to look up the premise, because again, I don't think it's like a direct sequel, in that it's not about like Mika and Jamie or the kids, like the family, but it's in the same
I'm so fine with that,
universe. So let me see.
Easy to mess that up.
Exactly. Plus, it feels like their story ended on a very, like, I have no questions about where things are going or how things are going to work out. Like, I don't need more of their story.
Right.
So the second one is called A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. And it says, an enchanting novel about a witch who has a second chance to get her magical powers and her life back on track. Sarah Swan was once one of the most powerful witches in Britain. Then she resurrected her great aunt Jasmine from the very recently dead, lost most of her magic, befriended a semi-villainous talking fox, I'm immediately thinking of the fox from Worlds Beyond Number, and was exiled from her magical guild. Now she, slightly reluctantly and just a bit grumpily, helps Aunt Jasmine run an inn in Lancashire, where she deals with her quirky guest shenanigans, tries to keep the talking fox in check, and longs for the magical future she lost. When she learns about an old spell book that holds a secret to restoring her power, she turns to Luke Larson. I see we're doing the Marvel character alliterative names situation. A gorgeous historian who might just be able to help her unlock the book's mysteries. Luke, who has his own reasons for staying at the inn, never planned on getting involved in the madcap goings-on around him, and certainly had no intention of letting certain grumpy innkeepers past his icy walls. So no one is more surprised than he is when he not only agrees to help, but also finds himself thawing. So this time, instead of grumpy sunshine, it's grumpy grumpy. We have double grumpy, apparently. Either
here
way,
for it.
that sounds amazing. That sounds great. I want it. I'm gonna read it. It's also nominated for a Goodreads Choice Award this year. Because
Nice.
it came out this year. This one.
I just realized that I'm pretty sure me and my boyfriend are grumpy sunshine, but I like sunshine like in the desert sunshine, where it's like just maybe a little bit dangerous. I can't be, perfectly sunshiny all the time.
I
Okay?
mean, no one can. Even like the Sunshines in the Grumpy Sunshine book, like come on, I'm sure they have moments, Hello? Heather, yes, everyone should make an account on Pagebound. If you're a bookish person who likes to use something like Goodreads or Storygraph, like some sort of online or app tracker tool, Pagebound is my favorite of the three that I use. Number one, I said it's made by women. Number two, it's the aesthetic fucking adorable. It has the most like fun, cutesy, inviting aesthetic. It also has the most fun social features. So it has like quests where it like groups books together in categories. People can submit quests, and there's like quests which are like reading more books, and side quests which are only reading like one or two. And you can like opt into a quest, and if you read enough of the books, you get a badge on your profile. And whenever you post an update, like how far you've read the book, you can post a little. It's basically like, imagine a really cutesy version of Reddit and Goodreads had a baby. And it's very wholesome so far, and I've been really enjoying it. So if that sounds like your vibe, then you all should check out Pagebound.
Signing up right now. Does the website work pretty well? Is it
The website works
like,
great, and the app works great too. The app is very new. It just came out, but I've had no problems with it, and it's been working great so far. But yeah,
I'm like in that shitty spot of the month where like I can't even install new apps on my phone because I owe like a subscription somewhere.
Yeah.
So I'm glad.
Well, yeah, it's free to use, and yeah, you can be a browser girly, or you can be an app girly. Be whatever you want, or both, like me. I just put our current read in the chat if you're joining us live today. If you're wondering what our current read is that we'll be chatting about next month. Last thing before we go, I had an idea. Briar and Heather in the chat, first people to run it by. So in December, like this was part of why we picked this book was because it was a seasonal read for October. Like obviously October, Halloween, witchy vibes. That was the deal. And I would like to also put a bunch of seasonal, like festive choices for December. But then if we talk about them in January, like in terms of posting the video on YouTube, it's just like slightly suboptimal, right? Like I'm sure less people would be interested in like looking up a chat about that book because now we're past the festive vibes. They have to wait to come around till next year. So if I maybe already put the vote up, even though we're still in November, I mean we are in the last week of November, but if I put a vote up for next month's books and had a few festive ones thrown in there, and if one of the festive themed ones wins, I would then have like the discussion stream on like the 23rd or something, like as close to Christmas as we can get it, that I could have a guest who'd be willing to join me or something. Would that be appealing, or is that not enough time? Because the boys, usually we do a full month to read the book just for people who might not read as much or as fast as some of us, and I don't want anyone to feel pressured like that they read too slowly or anything. I guess we could do seasonal for winter rather than just like Christmas, I guess. Yeah. And also be inclusive of other holidays and stuff.
Christmassy vibes, that's fine. Like as long as it's, I don't know.
If anyone has wintry seasonal suggestions, throw them in our Discord. If you're not in the book club Discord, the invite is in the chat. That's also a standing command on my channel. That will always work. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, check the description below. There'll be an invite to our book club Discord. But yeah, if you have any seasonal reads for December that you would like to suggest, throw them in there because I'm going to start working on a list. One I'm going to put on there because I own a copy, and it's a really cute copy, but I've never actually read it. I know the story in the back of my hand because it's one of the most adapted things of all time, but I was gifted in university a really cute copy with its own little slipcover of A Christmas Carol, and it's like a leather-bound, really nice, like shiny copy with gold pages. But I've never actually read the original Christmas Carol by Mr. Dickens. Never actually given it a read. And like, look at this. I could read this hella fast. This little teeny baby book. It might be the smallest book I own because it's also just like hella short. Like, physically in stature, this copy is wee compared to the other books on my shelf. So I'm going to throw that on the list for anyone else like me who maybe has never actually read that classic book. But if you've and there's also probably a few wintry seasonal romances I'm going to throw on there. But if you have any suggestions, then please post them on the Discord. I would love to get I think this book was a suggestion from Heather. I think you suggested this book. I did not know about this book. It wasn't on my radar. And you suggested it, and I'm very glad you did, because I had a great time. I loved it. Before we go, if you're a TTRPG person like myself and Briar, we are going to be both participating in, me as GM, Briar as player, a one-shot raising money for Project Hope for Hopemas next month. Briar, are you table 1 or table 2? Do you remember off the top of your head?
I believe I'm table 1.
Okay, then December 6th.
December 7th.
6th. Yes, December 6th will be our one shot right here on this channel. So come back and join us on December 6th for a festive holiday one shot, raising some money for a wonderful charity and a wonderful cause. Briar, before we go, do you have any specific things you want to share, or just in general, shout out your streams? Because even when parenting isn't holding you hostage, you are also a creator.
Yeah, so I do try. I haven't in a while, but I appreciate follows anyway. But I typically stream on my channel, like ESO, Animal Crossing, Wildflowers, that kind of stuff. Charity stream goodness, and then from there you can find. I'm not gonna like rattle off my bajillions of side projects, but
you do have more side projects and channels than most people I know. You an ambitious person.
And I can't get to any of them because baby, but it's fine. But yeah, I'm gonna be probably doing some more like passive creative stuff in the near future, just because that's what's gonna work right now. So, but I am gonna do the one shot on Laura's channel, and hopefully at least one stream on my own channel for Hopemas, because I love Project Hope so much, and I love participating in Hopemas.
And so SideQuest is closing in on, I think, 1 million raised as a team, so they really want as many people to, even if you do like one stream and someone donates $5, everything to get us closer to that 1 million benchmark, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, and I think wanting everyone to participate is so that we can all kind of potentially be a part of, hey, I helped the team get
everyone can say that they were part of the event that got us to 1 million. Should be super cool. So. Alrighty, well, awesome. Thanks so much for joining and being a guest with your crazy schedule. I really appreciate it. It was lovely.
I know this is a bit late, so I appreciate you.
A lot of the book club streams happen later because, again, like it's a stream with guests. Most people have more typical schedules, and evenings are when they're free. They're not like me, who's free in the middle of the day. So hopefully we'll see you for another one sometime soon. Thanks everybody for watching, whether live with us right now or if you're watching on YouTube. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you for the next one. Make sure to join the book club Discord. Join us in there. Chat book things. Bye.
Bye.